she wrote down this story for me to read to you guys, and she agreed to share it. And it's a very spooky story. I put it at the end because we all know the best is for last, and I think it's very well written, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. So I hope you'll watch till the end, because I will have some announcements to make at the end as well. But without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy my 3 spooky stories that I have for you guys. So the first one is called When I Was 17. This is something that I experienced about 9 years ago. I have this feeling I'll experience it again. It was a normal night. I was laying in bed. I wasn't sleeping, just sort of thinking about random things, you know, but my eyes were closed. Suddenly I felt a shift in the bed, like someone had sat down on the end of the bed. I opened my eyes and seen what appeared to be my boyfriend. At the time sitting on the end of the bed, staring at the wall to the side of me. I was confused and felt a little scared because he was meant to be at home, which is a drive away from me, and we didn't drive. But here he was, sitting at the end of the bed. I thought, well, he had been having arguments with his dad recently, so maybe he got a taxi over. But it's the middle of the night, and my family were sleeping. So how did he even get in? And why is he silent at the end of my bed staring at a wall? This thought process happened much quicker than it reads. Nervously, I called out his name, and as I spoke, he turned to face me, and no longer looked like my boyfriend. Its neck stretched the end of my bed up to the top, so that its face was directly in front of mine, but its body still faced the side wall. Its eyes were wide, lidless, and it just stared. And I felt fear and helpless and desperation and then it pulled its head back slightly, and it was gone. And I wanted to yell out for my mom, understandably so, but I was too afraid. I was too scared to move at all. I laid still till morning, till I heard my mom come down the stairs from her room, and then I got up to meet her in the landing. I told her what had happened, and for weeks after that, embarrassingly, at the age of 17, I would not go back into my room. I slept beside my mom or my sister, and they collected things I needed from my room until eventually I decided it had been long enough. 9 years on, I can't help but feel like I'm waiting for its return, whatever it is. I want to add, this isn't my first strange experience, and I have had shared experiences with my familial home, but this was completely different, and no, I definitely wasn't sleeping. So if you hear movement and whimpering in the back and me making strange movements, it's because of my stubborn little Shih Tzu dog that kind of has his Shih Tzu moment, like throwing tantrums. But just ignore it. It shouldn't be loud, disturbing sounds anyways. So this was the first story. I think it's creepy, especially because it is someone that is familiar to you, so they must mimic people that are close to you. I don't know, that's super scary. What do you think about it? But let's move on to the next story. This one is called Please Debunk This Encounter. I'll keep it as brief as possible. My cousin is a biologist. She doesn't believe in ghosts or the paranormal, and everything has a logical reason. She was reading a story to her 2- and 3-year-old children when suddenly there was 3 loud, clear, and distinctively separate knocks. She demonstrated. Now I demonstrated it too. Okay. From the cupboard facing them. She was freaked out, but her kids were asking what it was, and she had to keep calm and say, "It's just the neighbors. Could not be me, I would have freaked out too." She continued reading her bedtime story, but the cupboard door then flew wide open. There's a doll's house pressed up against it. Even I would struggle to open the door. They all bolted upright and screamed, and she went to have a look. Couldn't be me, I swear, mothers are the bravest. She froze, not because of what she saw, thank God, but because of what she felt. Ice cold air enveloping her. It was a week ago or so in the UK, so you'll know it's been really hot lately. She has never experienced anything paranormal, is a skeptic, cynic, logical person who doesn't believe in any stories like this. She's incredibly intelligent but stressed out lately, and all 3 of them heard or witnessed it. My thought is trapped cold air mixing with the warm air, but that doesn't explain the 3 knocks. There are no water pipes in that area of the room, and it's too loud and distinct to be the neighbors. The window wasn't open and the door doesn't creak or make strange noises. That was a week ago, and the kids have forgotten about it, and nothing has happened since. Please debunk this. There has to be a logical reason. She now believes in the paranormal because it was unmistakable for her. I don't, but I respect her scientific, logical mind, and she's not one to make it up or want to believe in it. Plus, the kids witnessed it too. Yeah, well, I can just say this sounds scary, and there seems not to be any plausible explanation, at least in my opinion. How do you guys see that? But yeah, mothers are the bravest is all I'm gonna say about this story, because catch me if I hear something knocking 3 times and a cupboard door flings open at me. I'd be gone out the door. Ciao, bye bye. This house is now yours and the kids too. No, I'm just joking, but still super freaky. So these stories have been rather short because my friend's story that I'm going to read now is on the longer side. So again, maybe have your warm cup of tea, sit back and relax as I read you the last story for today. It's called The Mirror in Our House. It is, however, divided in different sections that happened involving this mirror. So it has different titles throughout the story that all revolve around that mirror. And I remember when I went over to her place back in the days, I also had this kind of weird feeling about this mirror. But let's read the story first, shall we? Okay. So, The Mirror in Our House. Even though I am a strong believer, I never been the kind of person to jump to conclusions about the paranormal. I was was raised to think logically, and for most of my life I've tried to explain away anything strange. Coincidence, dreams, or tricks of the mind. But looking back, there were 3 major occurrences possibly tied to one object in my childhood home: an old mirror. No matter how many times I reflect, I still cannot shake the feeling something unexplainable may have been going on. This isn't a polished ghost story, it's just my experiences, the way they happened, and maybe by writing them down, I get some clarity. Or maybe someone has gone through similar things. The guest room. When I was a kid, we had an old mirror in our guest room, which was quite large. I don't know where it came from, but my parents had just always had it. It wasn't particularly fancy. It had a wooden frame which was colored golden and was hanging on the wall in one of the corners. But for some reason it creeped the hell out of me. Every time I had to sleep alone in the guest room, I'd feel anxious in a way I couldn't put into words. Not just the normal kid, I don't like the dark kind of fear, but actually believed that my uneasiness in the dark originated from this mirror. It felt like the air in the room was too heavy, or like someone else was in there with me and watching me. It always centered on the mirror. I'd lie in bed staring at it, telling myself not to look, but being unable to stop and forcefully shutting my eyes, pretending it wasn't there. Whenever I managed to sleep, I'd have nightmares and be waking up exhausted. My parents would brush it off as me being sensitive or just exhibiting typical kid behavior. But even at that young age, I was convinced the mirror was the problem. That was my first taste of it. Back then, when I thought, well, it's just a creepy mirror, everyone has things that make them uneasy. But thinking back now, it feels like it may have been more than that. The face. Fast forward, I was about 21, and by then, I'd mostly gotten used to the feelings coming from the mirror. The mirror had been moved in between 2 staircases leading from the top floor to the other, hanging on a new wall, which I always passed as quickly as possible. From there on, every night when I tried to go to sleep, a wave of discomfort would hit me. It wasn't constant, but when it happened, it was bad. The kind of anxiety where your heart beats faster for no reason, and you feel like you're about to see something you really don't want to see. One night, the feeling was unbearable. I remember squeezing my eyes shut, trying to will myself to sleep. But something inside me snapped, like a reflex, and my eyes shot open. There it was, in the dark, about 30 centimeters from my face. And at this point, I'm sorry for everyone that is American. I don't know what this is in inches. We're in Europe, so the story is with centimeters. From my face was the head of an old man. Wrinkled skin, hollow eyes, mouth twisted in pure anger, as if he was screaming at me. His features were sharp and made my stomach drop. He wasn't just there, his face was rushing towards me, like he was lunging straight out of the darkness. I yelled to shut my eyes and tried to find the light switch with my hand before I dared to open my eyes again. Of course, course there was nothing, so I told myself it was an imagination, some waking nightmare or hallucination. I almost convinced myself and tried to push the memory as far away as I could. Months later, I was hanging out with a couple of friends and my brother. Months later, I was hanging out with a couple of friends and my brother. We were swapping stories, the kind of dumb, scary experiences everyone has when they're younger. And for some reason, I decided to tell them about the vase. When I finished, my brother went pale and kept telling me to say I'm lying about the story. But I was serious. After some back and forth, he finally admitted why he was freaking out. He had seen the exact same thing. The same angry old man, same wrinkled face, same motion of it racing towards him out of the dark. His description matched mine in surprising detail. Unsettling, I would say. That was the moment I stopped trying to rationalize. It wasn't just me. Whatever I saw, he saw too. And somehow, that was worse than the possibility of it being my imagination. The mirror falls. Another couple of years of ignoring the feelings and pretending nothing to be there. Later, the mirror was still hanging on the same wall. Our house has this weird setup where one staircase up to a small corridor around a corner and the second staircase around the next corner would lead to the next floor of the building. So it's kind of like, square shaped with stairs leading up and down on each side. Think of it like a square missing one side. Okay, I could have not explained it myself. One morning, when my brother and I had the house to ourselves, he burst into my room, panicked. He asked if I had heard anything during the night. I hadn't. He was insistent though, almost frantic, and told me to follow him. That's when he led me to where the mirror used to hang. Just that the mirror was not hanging there anymore. The screws were still in place, unmoved, and sticking out of the wall where it had hung. But the mirror itself was smashed to pieces at the bottom of the second staircase leading up around the corner. There was no logical way it could have fallen there. If it had just slipped from the wall, it would have shattered directly beneath it, not somehow traveled around the bend. It could not have fallen or swung there, as first of all the screws were still in the wall, and second of all it would then have been on the floor of the corridor rather than halfway up the stairs. The thing would have had to lift itself off the screws, float around the corner and up a bit, and then crash onto the stairs. Neither of us could explain it, and there were no signs of anyone other than us having been in the house, so no break-in or anything. And then, just like that, everything stopped. No more feelings of dread in my room, no more faces lunging out of the dark, and sleep came easier than ever before. It was like whatever had been in that house or in that mirror was gone the moment it broke. Aftermath. I still don't know what to make of it. Was the mirror cursed? Did it break? Did breaking it release whatever was inside? Or was it all just a string of bizarre coincidences that I've connected in my head? All I know is that for years that mirror had a presence. It had affected the house, me, my brother. And the moment it was destroyed, everything lifted like someone had flipped a switch. I never mirror came from or what its history was, but then I remind myself some things are better left unknown. I really think it's a very well written and super scary story because I can remember when she told me when it all had just happened to her, and I remember not wanting to go back to her house for several weeks, and I was always like, no, like let's meet at our place, because like I was so creeped out when she told the story. And the thing about the mirror breaking was only like a year or two ago, and I remember it being so bizarre. She also sent me photos back in the day where it was literally impossible for the mirror to be found where it was found shattered. So yeah, I'm interested in knowing what you think of this story, and if you made it so far, I hope you can give me some comments or insights on what you think about it. And yeah, I always thought it was a very creepy and believable story. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I am going to say one thing. I will be uploading a new roleplay video this or next week, depending on how long it will take to edit. And I can't wait. You seemed to really like and enjoy my first roleplay, and it's going to be spooky, and yeah, you will not recognize me this easily. I can promise that in advance. And yeah, thank you so much for your support and watching, and I hope to see you guys again very, very soon in my next video. Good night, sleep well and relax. Don't let the ghosts bite.